My name's Fiona McPherson and I'm a senior editor with Oxford Dictionaries. Part of the job we do, in addition to updating and adding new words into the dictionary, is tracking developments in the language. This will inform any future updates that we do, but it's also important for us to see how language is changing, what new words might be coming in, any slight changes to established words. And this is something that we're doing all of the time underneath the actual editing work that we do.
Good.
Bacne is quite simply acne that you'll find on someone's back. At first instances, you might think this seems a strange word to have come up with, because really acne is acne wherever it appears on the body. But English does work quite well with what we call portmanteau words, so you take one word and add it onto another and blend it in some way. So this is back plus acne, and it works rather well, I think. Our current research actually shows it's not that brand new. We've actually got evidence, I think, going back to the mid-1990s. But it's definitely new to the dictionary, and it's one that we're looking to see how it develops. I think we'd all recognise the idea that there's some television programmes that we'll watch, and most of our time watching it seems to be criticising it or thinking, why am I watching this? And there's actually a word come up for that, and it's hate watch. I suppose it's got parallels with, you know, people that you love to hate, perhaps a character on a TV show, and it seems that people are actually using this word to talk about shows that they will indeed watch, but spend most of their time telling their friends, I hate this, or, you know, posting on social media to say, I hate this, why am I watching it? Dosant, or maybe it's actually dosant, is a cross between a donut and a croissant. It's a patisserie item that's seen quite a resurgence of late. It's interesting from our point of view because food items are ones which are usually pretty prolific in new words, especially ones from different parts of the world. So it's unsurprising that, you know, this has come to the fore. And it also shows, like I said at the start, is it dosant, dosant? When you see a word written down, you can never be 100% sure how it's pronounced. So again, this is something we'll be watching and making sure we can sort of pin down the pronunciation as well, should it go into any of our dictionaries. I think everybody knows now what a selfie is, the photograph that you take of yourself with your camera phone usually, and to put it onto the internet. And indeed we've actually added that in one of our recent updates to the Oxford Dictionaries Online. But there's a new development, legsy, which is exactly the same in a way, except it's you take a picture, probably on a beach usually, and it's of your legs going down to the bottom of your feet, and that's a legsy. The sky's the limit, really, if you think about it. Perhaps we could have armsies and toesies, but legsy seems to be the one that's sort of coming along next in the series, if you like. The way that we watch television has changed, obviously, massively over the last, well, probably 5 years. And episode is one word, I think, which probably reflects that. It's the delivery of an episode of some kind of TV programme or similar that you want to watch, and it gets delivered via an application on your smartphone. Again, it's another example of the portmanteau word, which is much beloved of the English language. It's app, as in application, and isode of episode. And I think probably words like these are going to increase as the ways in which we watch our entertainment develop. I think we've all been in the situation where we've been out with someone for a drink, say, or something to eat, and they seem to be spending less time talking to us and more time on their telephone, their smartphone, and there's now a word for that, and it's phubbing, P-H-U-B-B-I-N-G. Another portmanteau word, it's a blend of phone and snubbing, and it just really describes when somebody is too busy doing something on their phone to actually be interacting with you. It's common in English that you'll have more than one term to describe exactly the same thing. So if phubbing doesn't really work for you, then you have an alternative. You can use socialising instead. Again, it's a blend of no and socialising, and it's describing exactly the same thing really, where you're trying to go out and have a nice social time with somebody, and they're sitting there using their smartphone. It could actually almost, I think, where it differs a little bit from phubbing, is you could have 3 people all out and they're all socialising. Nobody's feeling left out because they're not being snubbed, but they're all just sitting there, not actually interacting with each other, but interacting with their smartphones. not everything that we track is a completely new word. So for example, meme, I think we're all familiar with in its noun form, but we're now noticing that that's starting to be used as a verb. This is really quite a normal way in which English works. For example, you maybe think about live stream, which we all use as a noun, and it's quite familiar now being used as a verb. So the same thing is happening with meme. And I think lots of various technologies, this will happen as we're used to the phenomenon, then we start to have the verb which reflects the phenomenon. The inclusion of lol in our online dictionaries caused quite a storm at the time, people objecting to, as they saw it, sort of text abbreviations, even although abbreviations have been around for donkey's years, something like TTFN, Tata for now. But it's interesting to note that it's now developed, lol that is, and we've seen the word lolarious, obviously based on hilarious. It means the same kind of thing, although it probably takes the hilarity to the next level. If you analyse the different parts of the word, it doesn't quite seem to make real sense, laugh out loud-arious, but it just shows that the word has taken on a life of its own and it is developing in ways that other words in the English language do. So we might even end up with lolarity or something like that, who knows. One thing you quickly realise, even with on the radar words, is that some of them actually aren't as new as you think. Once you do the research, you find they've actually gone back a bit further. And that's the point, really. Before any word will go into our dictionaries, it has to be out there and people will know it. So even by dint of being on our radar, even if they're seen as newer words, they've still got to have been in use for them to pop up on our radar, if you like. Some of the words will be completely new to people and they'll say, well, I've never heard of that before, but it's quite possible as well that some of them people will look at and say, oh, I know that, I've been using that word for years. So it's really usually a balance of the two. What is always the case is that they'll always be new to our dictionary at the point at which we add them.